All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth with Ben Jokes. Now, I think that well-meaning Nigerians who have the means need to begin a campaign to sensitize Nigerians on a simple fact of life. And the fact is simply that if you are a citizen of a country, especially if your father and your mother come from that country, you have equal rights with every citizen of that country. This sounds simple, but I strongly believe that most Nigerians don't know this. Because we are aware that we have had corruption in Nigeria since inception. In fact, it is our identity. But certain things have happened in this country in the last 2 weeks that if 90% of Nigerians actually believe that this country belongs to all of us, then the people would have shut this country down. By now, the whole streets are supposed to be flooded. First of all, we are finally being told by government that even after building local refineries, we will not be able to buy petrol cheap in this country that is blessed with crude oil. Because we do not have enough crude to supply local refineries. And why? Because one, our crude oil has been used to take loans up front. Loans that were embezzled. And two, because our crude oil is being stolen and there's nothing we can do about it. Does this make any sense? If 60% of Nigerians believed this country belongs to all of us, the nation would have been shut down after NNPC told us they couldn't supply a local refinery enough crude. And few hours ago, two very outrageous things happened again in the Nigerian political and economic space, and these events have turned the Nigerian media space upside down. The first one is TINUBU's family openly taking over all the NNPC filling stations in Nigeria. And secondly, Nigeria is being disgraced and stripped of $57 million worth of investment in Canada because of the antics of Tinubu and his boys. Before I show you these updates and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you this video that clearly proves that Nigerians are being scammed with this whole subsidy regime saga. Shortly after Tinubu and NNPC boss Kyari themselves confessed that they had been paying subsidy for several months, NNPC's chief financial officer Umar Issa Ajiya came out in this very ridiculous video and claimed that they have not paid a dime of subsidy in 8 years. Then he went ahead to describe subsidy, but he gave it another name. See the video.
I think there is one fact that I need to make very clear, that in the last 8 or 9 years, this company, even corporation as it were, has not paid anybody a dime or 1 naira as subsidy. No one has been paid kobo by NNPC as in the name of subsidy. That means no marketer has received money from us by way of subsidy. What has been happening is that we've been importing PMS, landing at a certain price, at a cost price, and government is telling us to sell it at half price. So the delta between that landed price and the half price is what we call shortfall, or call it subsidy. And the deal is between Federation and ourselves to reconcile, and sometimes they give us money, sometimes we do net ups. So there is no money exchanging hands to any marketer or anybody in the name of subsidy.
You heard the nonsense he said. Have you seen that the greed and the corruption in this regime is starting to affect the mental state of some of these men? This man with his own mouth in one breath said the shortfall they cover for is called subsidy. And in the next breath, he said they don't pay subsidy. You know why? Because the whole payment is a scam. They are the ones deciding on their own how much to quote as figures for subsidy. That is why the Minister of Finance at a time said the government was paying subsidy and the NNPC boss said the government was not paying. Finally, the NNPC boss admitted that they were paying subsidy, and now the chief financial officer of the NNPC is saying they are not paying subsidy. And maybe tomorrow, this same chief financial officer of the NNPC speaking now will admit that they are paying subsidy. Maybe that time now the gate man go say they know they pay subsidy. What a country. Now, let us look at those two embarrassing updates. One, Tinubu's family taking over all the NNPC filling stations in Nigeria. Two, Nigeria being embarrassed and stripped of a $57 million investment in Canada as a result of the antics of Tinubu and his boys. First of all, let's take the NNPC filling station updates. Now, here is the background to the story. Tinubu's nephew, Wale Tinubu, who runs Oando Energy Company, formed a merger with NNPC Retails and Noe Oil, a kind of merger where the entities still retain their identities. It was a trick. Then Oando, owned by Wale Tinubu, later started a court case with the other two entities, NNPC Retail and Noe Oil. They bribed the judges, won the case, and now Wale Tinubu under Oando is taking over all the NNPC filling stations in Nigeria. Look at how the papers reported it. NNPCL transfers ownership of all petrol stations to Tinubu's nephew. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has transferred all its retained assets to OVH Energy Marketing Limited, the operator of Oando Petroleum and a company owned by Bola Tinubu's nephew, Wale Tinubu. The NNPC can now transfer its retail ownership and assets to OVH following a court approval. The NNPCL Retail is primary importer of petrol in Nigeria. In October 2022, the NNPCL announced it had acquired OVH Energy Marketing, owner and operator of the Oando downstream assets from Noel Oil Limited a month after Noel Oil Energy acquired OVH. However, NNPCL, OVH, and Noel Oil filed a joint petition before Justice C.J. Aneke of the Federal High Court in Lagos on 24 June, asking the court to grant 8 orders, including the dissolution of NNPC Retail and Noel Oil without being wound up. They also sought the approval of the transfer of the assets of OVH Energy Marketing. Justice Aneke subsequently granted the 8 orders, making the merger effective from January 2024. Meanwhile, the manner of which the transaction was conducted has raised concerns, with an employee of NNPC Retail describing it as criminal. You saw that. Wale Tinubu, who owns OVH and Oando, went into a merger with NNPC Retail and Noe Oil. Then shortly after, the three of them went to court seeking that NNPC Retail and Noe Oil be dissolved from the partnership, but they should not be wound up. That means they should leave the partnership, but what they brought into the partnership will be retained for OVH and Oando Limited, which belongs to Wale Tinubu. And that includes all the NNPC filling stations in Nigeria. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. And this tweet here by Uche says, "This is the Tinubu we warned you about. This is how he captured Lagos. A nationwide replication of that is underway." Wow. And Toby here says, "Eleyi gidi gan o, total capturing of Nigeria by one family." What a despicable thing. And this tweet here says, "Everyone was warned this would happen. Tinubu is worse than Abacha." Now, nephew taking over all the NNPC filling stations in Nigeria. A refinery in Malta, in fact, refineries in other parts of the world. Highest ever contract in the history of Nigeria awarded to his son's company, and yet Nigerians have not filled the streets up. These are just few of the things that Tinubu has done in just 1 year, 2 months. And everywhere is still quiet. I think we don't believe this country belongs to us all. That is just the fact. And that was what I said at the beginning of this video. Because if a people believe that a country is theirs, there is no way they will allow these kind of things to fly. Now, let us move to the disgrace in Canada and how Nigeria is being stripped of a property worth $57 million. Look at how the papers reported it. Chinese investors take over another $57 million Nigerian government private jet seized from ex-minister Dan Etete. Zhongshan Fusheng Industrial Investment Limited, a Chinese company, has successfully repossessed a private jet valued at $57 million from the Nigerian government. The jet, a Bombardier 6000 type BD 700 1A10, was previously seized from Dan Etete, a former petroleum minister, and had been stored in Canada. The company, which has been seeking to confiscate Nigerian assets, received the necessary paperwork for the transfer of custodianship from Canadian authorities in Montreal. This development comes after a Canadian court ruled in favor of Zhongshan, granting the company permission to seize the aircraft from Nigeria, People's Gazette reports, citing sources. The court granted orders for Zhongshan to seize the plane earlier this year, but the change of custody from Nigeria to Zhongshan was only recently concluded. A person familiar with Zhongshan's activities said anonymously to discuss the matter, Zhongshan will not stop seizing Nigeria's assets worldwide until the last cent of the arbitration award has been paid. Although Nigeria has lost all its challenges against the Chinese investors in at least 5 countries, it has nonetheless maintained no wrongdoing in the lawsuits, which stemmed from a botched free trade zone contract in Ogun State. Nigeria and Ogun State have disclosed ongoing efforts to resolve the matter with Zhongshan, although no headway has been recorded since the parties first met in London from September 27 to 29, 2023. A spokesperson for TINUBU did not immediately return a request seeking comments on the latest development. The reason why they can never reach a compromise is because the Ogun State government used police, military and everything to beat up the Chinese men and drag them from that place. And these people are well aware that Nigeria does not practice state police. That in Nigeria, the police and the military are only under the control of the federal government of Nigeria. So they said for you to use them, you must have orders from the federal government of Nigeria. They don't know that government in Nigeria, state government abuse laws. Even federal government abuse laws. A rich man can even use police to go and beat someone up. But they are saying it was the federal government that beat them up because the police are federal agents. And they are very correct. That's why any court in this world where they tender the case, they will just win immediately. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. This tweet here by AIM says, wait, we have this private jet sitting somewhere in Canada and TINUBU went to squander our money to buy his own private jet? What kind of madness is going on in that Aso Rock? And Mr. Optimistic replied, he said, we had 7 presidential planes before he bought the 8-1. That is it. Just squandering money anyhow. And BB Ray here says, please, how much are we owing the Chinese? This Chinese company, at this rate, they may soon put Nigeria up for sale. And Queen Dima replied, she said, Nigeria is sold already. Baba Buhari sold crude oil up front to them. We just have to beg them to handle us with care. This may sound like a joke, but this is the situation. And Niger blog here says, Nigeria has nothing in their name again. Debt has ruined the country. The APC has ruined this country with debts. And this tweet here says, APC has brought Nigeria down to international disgrace and humiliation. It has never been this bad. You sell away your country's integrity and dignity, all because of money. So sad. Very sad, my brother. And Akin here says, so where are all those people who say China is developing Africa? We want that asset seizure like in Sri Lanka would happen to us in Nigeria. That is it. And up north here says they should go after presidential yachts that was purchased by TINUBU. They should go and collect the yachts, 5 billion naira. If they convert that to dollars, it go come up small. Let them go and take it. What a shame. Now, first of all these assets that are now being seized, Nigerians were not even aware of them. They were existing there and they were just being controlled by few people. We didn't even know about them. Then secondly, the people that committed all this crime, the TINUBU boys that brought this calamity upon this country, nobody is even talking about them. They are still walking about free. Because if you investigate the issue now, you will see that powerful people are involved. Ibikunle Amosun, the then governor of Ogun State, did not just send those Chinese people away on his own. investigate that case properly, you will see many powerful people in Nigeria involved because they wanted to give that place out to other people and collect money. This is the evil that the APC represents in this country. And that is why I keep saying Nigerians will never have peace until they come together, put themselves together, unite, and kick these guys out of power. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Now I dey here. So don't go away. Don't go